Shalom, this is Brother Yuan. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. And I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this thing in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. I watched earlier this morning Elder Renata Zagba's video on Ty Jackson, this TikTok scoffer, or he makes shorts on YouTube, vice versa, right? Saying that, oh, you guys never, the so-called black Hebrew Israelites, and he put that negative connotation on it. And this guy, he looks like a Jake himself, right? Might not be, but he said, you guys, they're not the real Jews. Didn't use any precepts to back up his case. He brought up the precept in Revelation, and he says, let me go get it. Revelation 2. And we'll read it. And he was saying this is talking about the Jews back then, during that time in the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD, when we were scattered. All right, when the temple was defiled, man. All right, so it says, Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. But as also applied to what? The wicked today, man. Because there's a people masquerading as the actual people when they're not the people. It's actually prophesied in the scriptures that there will be a people who will paint the likeness of their images in the book. All right, let's go get that in Maccabees here. So first Maccabees 3 and 48. Okay, it reads. Well, I'm driving here. Let me get over. Bear with me. First Maccabees 3 and 48. It says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. And especially now in this time period, they've succeeded in tricking everybody into thinking that the people, the Messiah, and the Most High look like clean leopards. Look like Edomites. Which is not the case. And Jake always, like the apostles and elders say, and like Elder Renata Zagba said, they do this because they have a problem with their oppressor feeling uncomfortable. Because they have Stockholm Syndrome. Okay? You have vocab today. Elder Ramlap did his lesson. Vocab alone, I guess you could give him the title of the chief scoffer amongst Israel right now. But you have some, Israelites that are, scoffers, but vocab. And when you look at the guy and you listen to what he's saying, it's like he sits down and meditates on precepts that he could use to play semantics with. Because when it comes in regards to going into the covenant, like Apostle Ramlap said, or going into prophecy, he steers clear of it. But he'll find a precept that he can play semantics with and say, hey, look, and he just holds on to that precept. When here, and lo and behold, when the men of the Lord, we go into the scriptures, we'll bring out precept upon precept. You'll get to the point to where you can't even write them all down. So many are coming out, proving one particular point. But vocab, he'll hold on to that one, blurt out, some historical accounts that are skewed, and he finds a way to deceive the simple. But when you go into the scriptures and it talks about Israelite foreigners, because it's like he can't get it. It's such a simple concept. The scriptures talk about those that were scattered being grafted in again. It talks about those that were of the uncircumcision, which were scattered Israelites, being grafted. You must keep in mind, you can't be grafted in again to a place you never were. All right, let's go get this precept. bear with me here. All right, so it's the book of Romans, okay, 11 and 24. It reads, "For if thou wert cut off of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and wert grafted contrary to nature into a contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, which be natural branches," meaning they were originally a part of the olive tree, they were originally a part of the promises, they were originally a part of the fold, "which be natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree." Now let's go get Romans 11:24 in the NLT. Let me pull up my blue letter. Romans 11:24. Let's see what it says there. And I haven't checked this before, but let's just see. Let's take a peek. "You by nature were a branch cut off from a wild olive tree. So if God was willing to do something contrary to nature by grafting you into his cultivated tree, he will be far more eager to graft the original branches." Okay, so they were the original branches. These branches being grafted in again. These Gentiles that you're reading about, which are Israelite foreigners, okay, under the second covenant, they're being brought back into the fold, man. By grafting you into his cultivated tree, he will be far more eager to graft the original branches back into the tree where they belong. Original branches, man. Damn. This thing is so simple. And you had that guy, Ty Jackson. I'm jumping back and forth between the references. Zagba did a video on him. He said all they do is sit on the corner and curse people out, which is not true. He said they need to study, nigga. If he said that, shows you that he didn't take the time to actually listen to what any of the brothers were saying. I don't know what sect he ran into. But even some of those other camps, man, they would confound that guy if he actually sit down. They actually had discourse. But obviously, he was just cut. He clearly saw the sign with the horns on Cesare. Heard us going into, hey, the so-called white man is the devil, and we say so-called, and we have to use those relative terms so that people know who we're talking about. If we just said Edomite this and Jacob that and Japheth and Ammon and Moab this, the ordinary person, wouldn't know what we're talking about, man. What are these guys yelling about? What are they? We have to use those relative terms so people know who we're addressing. Simply put. Now I also want to go. Actually, we're going to stay here in the Blue Letter app because I want to read it in the KJV and the NLT, and I go there all the time. It's just like my go-to scripture when I want to get straight to the point about why we have to teach all nations, because there's Israelites scattered among all these different nations. So we're going to John the 7th chapter and the 35th verse. Oh, let me check my maps here to make sure I'm not going the wrong way. Okay, I'm still good. All right, so we're going to John 7 and 35. Okay. And it's cool to go into the New Testament because you got those Christians that said that's Old Testament. But hey, in the New Testament, it's plain as well. All right, John 7 and 35. We're going to read in the KJV first. All right, it says, "Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go? Talking about Yahushua, that we shall not find him. Will he go into the dispersed, all right, the diaspora, because we were scattered in all these different captivities. The dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles. You have two different Gentiles. You have the Gentiles that are the heathen, the other nations. And then you have the Hellenist Jews, the Hellenized Jews, which were Greek-speaking Jews because they were brought up in those lands, brought up under those customs, and they had to be brought back into the righteous way of their fathers. All right, now let's read John 7:35 in the NLT, okay? The Jewish leaders were puzzled by this statement. Where was he planning to go? They asked. Is he thinking of leaving the country and going to the Jews in other lands? The Jews in other lands. Maybe he will even teach the Greeks because they were what? Israelites dwelling among them. The same way you're Israelite all the way over here in America. And until you had your great awakening, you kept the customs of this place. You believed in it. You considered yourself one of them to an extent. You know? And there, the Apostle Ramlab and Elder Manasseh Zagba and other brothers, they've done they did much more thorough and detailed lessons on it. I try to keep it as plain as I possibly can, as though I was speaking to somebody new, but for a much more detailed and thorough lesson on it, go watch Elder Ramlab's lesson. He did I believe it was earlier today, or it might have been yesterday. And Elder Manasseh Zagba's video from yesterday, bringing up all the different accounts to where it's made plain who this book is addressed to. Elder Ramlab went into the account during the Passover, and all the Jews from all the different lands, they witnessed that miracle. They heard, the Jews from Galilee speaking to them in their own tongue, in the lands that they grew up in. The Lord had it to where that happened. They were like, "Are we drunk? Why am I hearing this man in my native tongue?" But that was just to bring out the fact that there were Jews dwelling in other lands, and they would make that voyage to Israel for the Passover. And I'll get the other account in Acts 2. It reiterates. It says it started. We'll just start at the top. Acts 2:1. It says, "And the day of Pentecost was fully come. They were all with one accord in one place." All right, verse 2. "And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of a fire, and sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues, other languages, as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." Verse 5 again. "And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." Israelites that came from all these different nations, man. It always has been the case. Okay? So you must understand, hey man, there are going to be Israelites that come from all these different nations. There are going to be Israelites that have, kept the customs, grew up keeping the customs of other nations, man. We were scattered. Look at our forefather Abraham, man. His father was an idol worshiper. This is a reoccurring theme with us. And the scriptures make it plain. But you have scoffers who are clinging on to that plantation Christianity. And Elder Ronald made a beautiful point, man. He said, it's not going to just say it. Oh, these were Israelites dwelling in other lands. It's not going to just say it throughout the volume of the book plain that way. The Lord had this thing coded, okay, like it says in Matthew the 13th chapter, where it's given unto you to know the mystery of the kingdom of heaven, and to them it is not given. But he had this thing coded because for a time this devil's been in power, and he just would have destroyed the book. But he kept it intact. He had it coded. He kept it intact so that we could have it during this time. So it was a particular point in time, where this devil was able to spin it and spin the words to where it looks like, where everybody's included in this thing. But now the true understanding of it is coming out and being made plain to those who have been given the eye salve that, oh no, this book is addressed to a particular family of people. Very plain. So yeah, man, the Lord is the most cunning. So he kept this thing intact. Which, that's another thing, Christians, when you start bringing out precepts, they like to say, well, who wrote the book? A Christian, somebody that proclaims to be devout to the words of God, when you bring out the actual precepts to prove what this thing is about, that's the same person that'll question the validity of the book. And it shows their lack of faith, because you're saying what? The Lord wasn't able to keep the book intact for us, for our learning? So I seen those I watched those 2 lessons earlier today. I got my YouTube Premium, so I just have my subscriptions. I press the play and it just plays all day while I'm working. I'm driving this truck. That bothered me. Looking at the Ty Jackson guy. There's a bunch of guys like him. He's not special. There's thousands of scoffers just like that guy. Who speaks so confident. People still actually listen to the guy. But vocab, he's that's just his game. He's gonna pick a precept. He's gonna try to play semantics to it. He's gonna reference, other literature, and he might go into history on a particular point, but he doesn't really dive all the way into it. And he completely, with all of his strength, he steers clear of biblical prophecy. With all of his strength, he steers clear of the biblical prophecy, because even when we go into that, it becomes even more clear who the true people are. The people that are calling them, people that have that Jewish title today, they're completely disqualified in regards of prophecy. According to prophecy, they're completely disqualified from actually being the people. When we will return, the Lord will set us back into the land. It wouldn't be according to a treaty between nations. It wouldn't be, annexed. And the Lord is going to place us back in miraculous fashion. That's when the actual true Jews return to the land. When the true Jews return to the land, the nations aren't going to be learning war anymore. There isn't going to be any war. When the true Jews return to the land, this is all prophecy, this is all written. When the true Jews return to the land, the earth is going to be governed by the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. None of those things are happening. These people do not fit prophecy at all. The true Jews were prophesied to go into slavery in ships, and I'm very much so skeptical about the Holocaust, but that's not the kind of captivity that they were prophesied to go into. They were prophesied to go into ships and be scattered all over the earth. All 12 tribes of Israel. You go over there, they're just the Jews. What about the tribe of Asher, Zebulun, Naphtali, Issachar, Levi, Benjamin? Where are those tribes at? None of those things are referenced. These are not the people. When we return back to the land, Israel will be the chief nation upon the earth. And all other nations will be subject to it. And it will be by force. The Lord said we would break them with the rod of iron. It wouldn't be because, out of the kindness of the other nations' hearts. These people, they fit zero prophecies. They tried to manufacture it, in particular ways, but they fit none of the prophecies. So yeah, vocab definitely steers clear of that. He tries to say, he makes the claim that Esau, Edomites, they're done away with, they're no longer here. But then, when you go to 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, the 9th verse, it lets you know clearly that upon the Lord's return, upon the second coming, Esau would be in power. The second coming has not come yet. It has not happened yet. All right. Which is why you have even a lot of Israelites who who question the validity of Yahweh Shai. It's so much madness going on in Israel. And the Lord's just really what he's doing is making it even more and more clear every day what subset of men that he's actually dealing with. And it's going to be made manifest here in the days to come as you know, that Jacob's trouble begins to unravel. It's going to be made more and more clear. Oh, these were the men that the Lord was dealing with. But by then it'll be too late. The family of the word will be going out, and it'll be, it'll be easier to hit the lottery than to run into a man of the Lord during that time. That's why a man is going to be made as precious as fine gold, and not just any man, a man that has the understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So this is the most beautiful thing to be a part of, brothers. All right? Nothing levels or measures up to this. Okay? And actually, there's a brother. It was put in the chat. I don't know the brother's name, but he had a vision or a dream, and he told us about it, man. And it was core shaking. I actually want to upload it, and I hope I don't know if you guys have heard it or if somebody uploaded it somewhere else. I want to upload it because it was powerful, man. We have to have the fear of the Lord in the days to come, and to be occupied and focused on Him, man. So with that being said, Lord willing, the lesson was edifying. Lord willing, you got something from it. I want to give all praises to the Most High once more. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. And I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right? May the blessing of election be upon your house. May the Lord have great mercies upon you, man. Shalom.